One. Hello and welcome back to the John and Adrian podcast. If you're listening to this, please subscribe, like, and comment what you would like to hear in Friday's episode. John, to start things off, I think, we've been doing this for a while, and I think we should switch gears and become a Madden Mobile podcast strictly. That's this topic for every single episode going forward.
MMG podcast.
Yeah. You've been playing it, right?
Yeah, I mean not religiously or anything. I didn't even play it today, but I've played a decent amount. I've got my 65 overall team now.
Dang, big baller. I've been, I guess, in comparison to you, I've been playing it a lot more. I have a 75 overall team. I pulled 2 elite players already. I pulled a DeAndre Hopkins. He's like an 8. I have like an 81. He's an 81, and then I have a 80 overall kick returner. I don't know his name. I put him there, and then every gold kick returner, because I've picked up like 2 or 3. I've just sold them, and like right now the prices for everything is really inflated. So it's like a quick 150,000 that I just pour back into buying packs or like getting players for sets.
Drop rate's really good for packs. Because it only guarantees you a silver player. I noticed that.
But I feel like, okay, so there's like the pro pack, right? And then which only gives you like 3 players and like a one better player, and then there's like the better, quote unquote, better pack that's like twice as much or whatever and guarantees better players overall. But
yeah,
I feel like if I buy I think they changed up the packs, but before what I do is like there was a pack worth like 100k and it'd give you like 1 gold player, right? Well, I felt that my luck was good enough in 10 of the pro packs to get 1 gold player. So, and I feel like 10 versus 1 pack, you have better odds. I don't know.
All right.
I've just been getting lucky then, if that's the case. And then I've had stupid pack luck, which I think that's the whole drive for me, is just pulling quote unquote good things. Like, yeah. I mean, there's some people that just never, they go their whole like Madden careers without pulling a single elite player.
Yeah.
I'm just out here pulling them left and right because I'm that good, baby.
I don't know. It's better than it was last year or maybe the year before. I don't know. I stopped playing it a while ago, but I stopped playing it when it switched to be more gameplay detailed, which the gameplay was cool, but it was so painstaking. Like it was a grind, like actual Madden on console to progress your team. So I stopped playing it because I'm like, I'm not going to pour that much time into a mobile game.
Yeah.
So I was hoping to see a return to like essentially a card collecting game. That's what Madden basically used to be, was you just go and get the best cards, the cards you like the most, and play with those. So I don't know. It's a lot easier to get good players now than it was the last time I played, but it's still not nearly as easy as it was.
No, there's definitely
Madden 16.
There's like an 83 over a Lamar that you could like, what's it called, that Mastery series.
Yeah.
And I got the Julio, and to get the maxed out Lamar, like I have everything in place like for all the sets to get the maxed out Lamar. I just need the previous like good Lamar, like I need the previous Lamar card. But right now I'm stuck at the point where there's this thing called like the Lamar shaders, and the only way to get that item is if you complete the mastery thing. So you have to get Jalen Ramsey, and then whatever's after that. I don't know who's after that. So you have to beat those series, and then once you do that, once I do that, I'll be in place to get the 83 Lamar, which I'm like halfway through the Jalen Ramsey series. It's not that hard. It's just Like, honestly, it's literally just I play for like 10, 15 minutes. Not 10, 15, but like 5 minutes. You know, use up all my energy, and then I go do something for like 3-4 hours. Come back, 5 minutes. You know, and the auction house is, I think, better. I don't know. I've always felt like they've always done a good thing with the auction house.
Well, they completely got rid of it, I think last year, the year before. And that's when I stopped playing. Like, if I can't even get good players without grinding out the game, I can't just go into the auction house and get somebody. I don't want to play. But I must not be a 6, because you have to be a 65 overall to get in. So I must be a 64 overall, because I still don't even know the auction house.
Oh, I thought it was level. I got it at level 5.
You get it at level 5, but you have to have a certain team rank too.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well then, yeah, I've been messing around with the auction house a bit, like, because I've reached the point where like a gold, like a 70 overall gold player won't improve my team. Like, I need high end gold players or like elite players. So pretty much whenever I like I don't like spending my money on like players in the auction house. I like to sell players, get money, and then buy packs, because that's just more entertaining to me. Like, there's no point in my eyes to like. I don't know, I'd say if I have 2 players in the auction house that if they both sell right now, I'll get like 250K, and I'm probably gonna spend all that money on packs and try to.
Because there's nothing else to spend money on.
Yeah, well, right? There is, but it's like buy players. It's packs or buy a player that will be worth like 10K in like a month. You know?
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, I don't like to gamble in the real life, and there's really no. And this is my form of gambling, so I feel good about it.
This is how I get my fix without ruining my life.
Yeah, because there's no consequences. Because I'm not putting any money into this game. It's literally just.
It's fake money, so it's
fake money. It's fake money. It's fake money.
The problem is when you use it as your fake addiction, and then you make it real. Put money in to get the packs.
Yeah, that's when there's a real problem. When you start putting real money into the fake money to feed your addiction. Okay, so talking about football, I wanted to move into high school football and like the state of that, because I feel like I want to say like last week or the week before that we talked about college football and how it's in shambles. I want to say the same thing is true about high school football, but a much lesser degree. Did you? I know I told you about this. Did you look into it at all?
No, I didn't do any looking, but I am aware of what our region is doing here in California. They're just postponing the season.
Yeah,
so I don't know what other places are doing though.
Yeah, California is not alone in its postponement of fall sports, which is, I don't know. Football is an interesting case because it's like, I feel like one of the few, like the really only American sport that you literally can't play in the world we live in, like, because it's so like you're tackling people, you're like all up in like you're pushing people around. Like basketball, you do this like, but it's to a lesser degree. You know, it's like you're not really.
You can't go and just grab someone in basketball,
right?
Whereas in football, that's the point.
That's literally the point. Grab them. And like baseball, I feel like that's the you literally are rarely next to someone for more than you're closer to your team than the opposite team for a majority of the game. Soccer, running around, opened, you're not really touching anyone. So football has been postponed in many states, but there's some states like where the virus hasn't hit as hard that have just started it as regular, which I think is interesting. But then like Alaska and Texas have like left it up to, I believe, the county. So like if the specific county allows it, then they're good to go.
Well, if Well, that would hurt. Like obviously, you aren't playing teams just in your county. So like if your county says you can play, and then all the counties that you play outside of your league are like we're not playing, then you're left with basically just a league game, which is I mean a 5-game season isn't a lot of entertainment for high school football, I think.
Well, also high school football, it's not raking in the money as like say college football is, but it's also like there's a lot of players in high school football that like need their senior year or like need like they need if they don't play, they're most likely not getting the scholarship to the school, and like so it's a lot more interesting, and that also just ties back into like college football. Like if the season isn't played, what happens to those players? Like in high school football, obviously if you don't get your senior season, you don't get it. You graduate and you're done and you move on.
Oh well.
You know? But college, it's different because like even people that do graduate, they can still stick around. You know? They're still there.
Well, I'd be pretty interested in for the high school football how would that affect, state championships and then the nation championships? Like if half the states aren't playing high school football, then is it going to be will there be those championship games that you see, or is it just going to be within the state and anyone who wants to play can?
Well, see, I'm assuming like so when everything shut down because of COVID, my track season was starting up, right? Like we were at the beginning of that. And so everything shut down and the season got canceled. So like we just never played or went to the track meets that allowed us to compete for a championship. And like we've been winning our league for like the past 3-4 years. So our streak is over, right? Because we just didn't get the opportunity. But deep down inside, we would have won. It was just easy money. But so I'm assuming it's the same thing where it's like if there's no one to play against, then it just doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
But Vermont actually is doing a really interesting thing with football. It's doing 7-on-7 only. So they said like they might go back to regular football at a later date, but for as of now, they're doing 7-on-7 for the most part.
So no linemen.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, I guess at that point, I'd be like, just play flag. Just play the flag football, minimal contact. At least you're playing the game, and it's basically 7-on-7. And if you play flag, you probably do more than 7-on-7.
My understanding, it's like 7-on-7, like touch football. I'm not sure the exact rules of their football, but yeah, honestly, that's really gonna suck because obviously their quarterbacks and the receivers are gonna be fine, and there's some, but like, there's some linemen that they could convert to like tight end, and they really want
backer things like that.
Yeah, like they won't have much of a problem, but there's some big hefty boys that that just are gonna be left behind. So that's really sad. But I mean, football isn't football without the linemen.
I don't know how serious the leagues and teams will be taking their season this year, but I could see this as the year where that big offensive lineman is like, "Oh, he's put me in."
Yeah, I mean, that could definitely be a thing. I don't know about you, like you did the same thing for the most part.
This is gonna suck for the like small towns though that like built their like entire identity around like
football,
the high school football team and this local school doing good, and they have like the banners up with their name, with the names and the numbers. It's gonna be a gap from 2018, 2019, 2021 if it even resumes in 2021.
Which I mean, really, I don't know. We'll have to see what the future holds on that. But I feel like, I think the small towns that rely on football, they're more likely to start up.
Like do it anyways.
Yeah, there's more like a community backing of like, we want our football. Yeah, but I know, I feel like we both might have done the same thing of like, hey coach, put me in, like let me at him.
Yeah, I'm like, if I'm on the team, put me in. I want to play.
But I mean, we both know I got some hands. We both killed some DBs out there before practice on those one-on-one routes. Oh, dude. Oh, I hated practicing, but for the most part, I loved that. I loved those before practice routes because
you love running around without pads on and then just catching balls.
It's
easy.
It's fun. Receiver, huh? It's literally the easiest thing in the world, especially when like. I think you're gonna know who I'm talking about here. There's a short fellow on our team. There was on our team. He's currently going to go serve our nation. Good luck to him. And he was, I won't say he was the worst corner on our team, but he rarely, he had some heart, but the coaches just never put him in. But I had the height advantage. He was slightly faster, but like when you can just body your corner off of you, it really doesn't matter. And I loved going up against him because it was the easiest matchup. Throw it up above.
Careful what you're saying. You're disrespecting the people on the shoulder.
I mean, bro can't even cover me. All right, I don't want. You can't cover me. I don't want to hear it. I burned his ass. And I loved that. That was arguably the best part about football is just playing catch. Everything else, oh god, it was not fun.
Winning doesn't matter. I care about going in before practice and playing catch.
Did you care about the winning? Were you?
I didn't enjoy playing, but I mean, winning's supposed to be nice. So.
There was a point in our season. I feel like we both. I don't know about you, but there was a point in my head where I realized, oh my god, if we keep winning, we won't have a Christmas. We won't have anything. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, I feel like, oddly enough, the point when I decided I didn't want to do it anymore was when I started. The second half of the season. Yeah. I'm like, all right, it's you. I'm like, finally. And I'm like, it wasn't worth it. Like, nothing changed. I was just still going out there doing the same thing over and over, and we get the win, and it's, oh well, on to the next game.
Well, so I
feel it wasn't as enjoyable.
No,
I personally liked JV football.
Oh yeah, that was way more fun in my opinion. Because like, I feel like, I liked our junior year the most. I think because like I knew that
you rode the bench junior year.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it the most because like. There was this feeling of like
you had no responsibility.
Right. No, but senior year was the worst because I was like the sixth man of the team, and like it was always like you need to know this, this, and this, but we won't play you. I was like, really?
Yeah.
What's the point? What's the point of me being the backup center, the backup right guard, the right like, like what's the point in this? You guys have zero faith in anyone else. Like,
that was the only thing I didn't like was I can understand like linemen are supposed to stay in the whole game. They don't get subbed out.
Right.
But receivers, running backs, corners, DBs, linebackers, when you aren't subbing out any of them, it's just not enjoyable for anyone else on the team. So even though we're winning, it's like no one cares. No one on the team cares. It's just the people at the school who are like, "Yay, we're winning!"
Yeah, literally
undefeated. Let's go.
we beat kids' skulls in, but it was just like our starters were in the entire game. It was like cool.
Like, it's like I can understand like if it's a close game or like
which we rarely had.
Team we need to beat. We had like 2 close games the whole season. We like when we're out 40-0, 40-7 against a team that's not in our region, and then he doesn't put in the subs until there's 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter. It's like, what's the point in having subs at all?
Right.
They're just there to be practice dummies and give other guys a break. That's it.
It was, I think, the most annoying thing was learning center. and like keep like I've since our freshman year, I feel like we both have been telling the linemen around us, oh, you block that person,
Yeah,
don't mess this
on
up.
The field coaches,
right? Like I feel like we both played that role, like of like, all right, so what you're only gonna do is you block him, and we're good. And like center is just that, but on steroids. And I hated it because like not only did I have to worry about myself, I had to snap a ball, and then I had to tell people around me what to do. And it wasn't like they knew what they were doing. It was more like before every single play, it was, what's the play? How do I block? And
it was worse our senior year because there were so many people who had never played before that just decided, oh, I'm a senior, I want to come play. So we had 18-year-old kids who had no idea what they were doing, and they just stood around waiting for someone to tell them what to do.
Even the two kids before us didn't know what they were doing. They were just fatter than us. So they were younger than us. So that the coaches liked them more, which was annoying. There was definitely a junior bias.
Having a new coach means that he wants to forget about this upperclassmen, the seniors, and focus on the juniors for next year.
Mm-hmm. When arguably you're better and know what you're doing and understand.
But no, my biggest problem was it was only the head coach. All the position coaches, like in spring and summer training, they had pretty much all the seniors in. Like they had legitimately the best players at that position in.
And once the coach came in to do the roster,
and head coach came in, he's like, all right, we're changing everything.
Right. It was terrible.
Anyone under 6 foot who was a senior didn't get to play.
And then it was, it was enjoyable, I guess. I don't know. It is what it is. We'll never go back to it.
I'm not looking forward. I have no desire to go back. I remember him talking about how like these are your best years. You're going to want to relive these. I'm like, no, I hope not. If this is peaking, then I'm living a sad life.
There was moments in there. Even our rivalry game, our senior year, was so anticlimactic and boring.
So dumb.
Like, we literally played a freshman team, and it was like,
yeah. Because they all quit, right?
Right.
Every senior on the other team quit because they were so bad. They haven't won a game, huh?
No, so I feel like every football team or every high school football team has this game in their schedule that they circle. It's like, that's the rivalry game. That's the team across the town or the town, like the next town over that we just hate with a passion, and we're going to beat them. It's for like a bell or a hat or whatever. And ours, it's the last game of our season before like playoffs, and the other team, it was a team that hadn't won they're how do I describe this? They're like the Browns of our league. They're the
0-16 Browns, the 1-31 Browns.
Right. They're not a good team. And normally they play us, like they're bad for the whole year, but they play us like the hardest, and like we actually
they ball out.
Right.
They actually make a good
game. But this year,
the last 2 years, it was close. We lost by 1 point both times, right?
Something like that, right? Like they were good games, and like there were games where it's like, wow, all right, But this our senior year, it was like they were so bad. They had so many players quit even before our game against them. I think it was like, they even lost players, I think, due to like academics.
Yeah, like week 8, I think is when we started hearing about this, was like, oh, every senior on the team quit. And so week 9 rolled around, and they had to play the junior team, or we'll move the JV team up. And it's like a bunch of JV players quit. They didn't want to play anymore. So come week 10 for the rivalry game, it's a freshman team with like 2 or 3 upperclassmen at most. And they're going up against actual adults, like 18-year-olds.
Yeah. We literally destroyed them. And I think I want to say I played like the third quarter or something, and I wasn't playing. I genuinely was not playing. I just stood there. Like, it was not well,
we bumped up some of our freshmen too, huh? Or JV players.
Yeah, I think we did, but it really didn't matter. But like, I remember it was literally there was no effort on my part when I played that game, and I don't think I've ever felt that in a game. I don't think it was like the weirdest feeling to like. I think the first play that I was in, I actually went in and went hard and like demolished the kid across me, and I was like, oh my god, no, like I was like, oh my god, I didn't realize I was this much stronger than that kid, or like, I feel bad. I shouldn't have done that.
Started weightlifting at the beginning of the season,
right?
You've been doing it for the last 4 years.
This kid can barely pick up a 10, and like, and I'm like repping a plate.
Guy still just uses the bar.
Right, he still uses the bar to like do his workouts, and we're over here just working out with plates, not really worrying about anything. And so after that, I was like, okay, so yeah, I don't think I'm gonna play much longer. So I was like, I'm gonna get subbed out here in a minute because we're like, we're probably good for 2 drives that are like 2 plays, you know, and we're good. And yeah, it was so anticlimactic. It was like,
yeah.
And then I think one of our guys even got suspended for fighting, I think. Or like
when? In the locker room? In the weight room?
No, no, not that. Like during the game, someone on our team threw a punch, and then it was either get suspended for the next game, which is playoffs, or sit out the rest of the game, which was really dumb. Which actually, the year before that we actually had a fight. That was cool. I enjoyed that. That was fun.
You take pleasure in pain.
Dude, I don't know about you. I don't know if you threw any punches. All right.
When? What are you talking about?
Last year, in the last year. Not our senior season, but our junior year.
Our junior year, yeah, I got that.
Yeah, that I remember that fight. I'm talking about that fight.
The last game.
I
don't remember there being a fight.
Our junior year?
Our junior year, yeah.
Really?
Am I bugging?
Yeah.
It was
at the end.
The last... yeah. It wasn't even part of the game. Like,
it wasn't. It really wasn't.
It wasn't the players fighting. It was fans running onto the field.
And it wasn't
coaches
even
getting mad at each other.
It was yeah.
It wasn't.
Which I thought, I was like, I had the lucky. I had the privilege of being on the front lines and just watching all of that go down. And I don't know. I remember my critique of like whenever an NFL fight happens or something, and like they take off each other's helmets, how dumb that dumb is. So my first thought and action was just to put my helmet on and strap it up, because like honestly, if you're fighting in a football game and you're fighting without your helmets, or like using your helmets as a weapon, I feel like that's the dumbest thing. Because like if
they're gonna do that, then don't fight on the field.
Right. Like if you have a helmet, it's gonna hurt way more to punch your helmet than. So I was like, helmet on, and if someone comes at me, I'm about to throw some punches. Which no one came at me because it was literally like a yelling match. But I don't know. That was fun.
I was already up in the locker room.
Really?
That
okay.
Happened.
People
heard about it the next day.
Oh yeah, no, I had to. It was a yelling match between coaches and stuff, and like I think I held someone back. I don't know who. I don't remember who.
Our principal.
Nah, I didn't hold him back. It was like another teammate.
He had his picture in the paper, didn't he?
He did. That was a great picture. Him just yelling, so mad and being held back. But it was like a week hold, I think. I don't know. So yeah, sports are in shambles. You know, what are you gonna do? You know what you are gonna do? Lock yourself up in a bubble and play basketball. The Raptors wiped the floor with the Nets 4-0. We expected that. It was literally
Celtics wiped the floor with the 76ers. I expected it. Yeah. I don't know if anyone else did.
I
just think the 76ers are trash.
The interesting thing, because I think the Celtics Raptors are going to play each other in this the next round of the playoffs. The interesting thing about that is that Kyle Lowry got hurt in Game 4 of the Nets game with like an ankle injury or something. I don't really know his injury status or he'll be able, or when he's coming back, but he didn't return to that game. So if he's still injured going into the Celtics series, I think that's going to make it more interesting. But Gordon Hayward is injured for the Celtics, so I mean, I guess
it evens out.
It evens out. Yeah, it evens out a little bit. I think I like the Celtics more as a team over the Raptors, but I feel like the Raptors are more likely to win.
I think the Raptors are more likely to win too.
Yeah.
But I personally feel like they're very similar teams. I like both of them. I'm not really rooting for one or the other, and I think it'll be a fun series to watch either way.
Yeah, it definitely. Another fun series to watch is the Clippers Mavericks game. That was a really fun game. Their series right now is 2-2, but the Mavericks killed it today. Well, I guess they didn't kill it, but they got the nice little walk off.
Luka today.
Luka
be more accurate.
Killed. Yeah. Well, Luka did it all by himself today because Kristaps was out of the game.
Porzingis is out.
Yeah. Which is interesting because Luka isn't out, and you'd think that his injury is a little bit more severe than Kristaps.
It's playoffs,
right? So, but Luka popped off. He had the game-winning thrust in I don't even know whose face. Like,
it wasn't Kawhi's. I don't think.
No, they did like a switch. So, which
they were doing that a lot throughout the game.
I mean, that's the whole point of NBA offenses is to get a switch. Like, I don't want Kawhi guarding me. I want number 3 that just got onto the floor. Which but he hit the shot. It was a nice shot. I don't know if you've noticed this, but like the team logos and like the playoffs on the court, on the actual basketball court, are like projected on, and it's really weird because sometimes
I think he's showing off Patrick Beverly. That's number 1, right?
Oh, I wouldn't know. Did he? No, number 1 is Reggie Jackson.
Jackson, yeah.
So I don't know who that is.
Yeah, Beverly's 21. My bad.
Yeah.
Reggie Jackson, you bum. What are you doing?
Yeah, dropping 14 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds. Trash, utter trash. I mean, you did, yeah.
Yeah, I think
it's trash.
The Clippers, unfortunately, are probably going to win this series, though. I think it's going to keep going back and forth, and
Game 7,
the Clippers get Game 7.
Yeah, which even then, pushing the Clippers to Game 7 could give like whatever team plays them next, which is most likely going to be Utah, I think.
Yeah,
if I have my playoff,
I don't see the Nuggets coming back from the 3-1 episode.
Yeah, 3-1 is.
We both had them winning, didn't we?
I believe so. No, I had the Nuggets. I thought the Nuggets would be.
I know I had the Nuggets.
I thought they would be a lot better than what they have been.
We both were like, both these teams perform well in the regular season and then underperform in playoffs, so it doesn't matter really which one of them ends up winning the series. I don't think either of them will win all out. But I think you had the Nuggets going pretty deep.
I mean, I only said that because it was like I'm a Lakers fan, right? And like I want the Lakers. My happiest, it would be if the Lakers won it all. But I like the Mavericks or the Nuggets would be like my follow-ups. If they won, I'd be okay with that. I'd be happy with that. And then like I don't really care for any team in the Eastern Conference. So I don't know.
If the Mavs win this series, I think they'll dominate whoever they play next, whether it's Nuggets or the Jazz. And I think that they'll probably end up playing the Lakers. And I think they have a legitimate shot to beat the Lakers this year. Like, I remember we were talking earlier about how next season they'll be ready. But if this playoffs proves that they can carry themselves all the way into the semifinals, I think they could really make it into the finals and maybe win.
I don't know. I think right now they're battling through injury, and I feel like that's really going to bite them in the butt. Mm-hmm. Like the Raptors, you know, they had Game 4 in the bag, and they took out all their starters. Like, there's no chance of injury there, right? Yeah. Well, except for, like, the injury they sustained early on with Kyle Lowry. But, like, the Raptors, like, Porzingis didn't play this game, or Game 4, because he was injured. And Luka has, like, I don't know what, like a fractured foot or like a sore ankle. I'm not really sure what his injury is, but it's a foot injury, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I don't know about you, but playing on a sore or like broken foot, is it going to help it get better? So it's definitely going to bite them.
Yeah. The problem with them, though, is they can't rest their starters
at all. They can't. They have to. They have to play. So it's definitely going to bite them in, like, I don't think the second round, because I think they're just that much more talented. But if they make it to the semifinals, yeah, it's definitely going to bite them.
Yeah.
And then I think, yeah, the Jazz are they've just outplayed the Nuggets. There's just no way around it. Even with, you know, the Nuggets. The Nuggets had a really legitimate chance of evening the series in this. Mm-hmm. In Game 4, they really could have, but they just blew it. Like, there's no other way to put it. They really they just didn't perform.
I watched the last couple minutes of the game, and it was throughout the whole time. You're like, oh, the Nuggets are gonna do it right here. And
yeah, it's like they couldn't. Like, Jamal Murray was hot.
Left, you're like, oh, they're not gonna do it.
Jamal Murray was hot that game. He dropped 50, and like he was just on fire. He could not miss. But at the same time, it was like they couldn't stop the Jazz on defense. So it's like Jamal would just drop a 3, you know, cut the score down to the Jazz are only up by 2, and then they would just go on and score another dunk or layup.
Yeah.
And he would have to go back down there and score another 3-pointer. So, yeah, the Nuggets just couldn't close out, which, I mean, if they keep their core and draft well in this, I think they could possibly next season, but yet again, it's like the Warriors are going to come back better than ever because they're going to trade away their number 2 overall pick, which I think we both said this before. Picks in basketball aren't as valuable as like picks in other sports, but it's still like the number 2 overall pick is still a good trade asset to get another good player.
If you have a top 5, it's decent, but anything less than that, and even if you do have a top 5, you're not going to be able to get, you know, an Anthony Davis or even a Paul George probably.
Yeah,
you're going to get maybe like I don't even know who to compare to. You're going to get
Kevin Love
for the top 5.
Like Kevin Love.
That's a good example.
Kevin Love, a good player, but not like a star. Which
you get Lonzo Ball for the 5th overall pick. That's who
wasn't he? Well, he was drafted number 3, so that's pretty good value.
No, he was drafted. I thought he was drafted 2.
Oh, yeah, he was 2. Yeah, it was Markelle Fultz, Lonzo, Jason Tatum. I don't know. So, yeah, the Nuggets are pretty much out. The Thunder. They won. So it's 2-1.
I don't think they're gonna win though.
They made it harder for the Thunder. If it really comes down to their Game 4, I think, or would it be Game 4? Mm-hmm. If the Thunder win, then if the do I have my teams mixed up? If the Rockets win,
they're up 3-1.
Yeah, if the Rockets win, then they have it in the bag. If the Thunder win, I don't think they'll win it. I don't think they'll win like a Game 7, but they're putting pressure on the Rockets which is good. You know, I like that. I like them. Yeah. I like them to choke. They're more likely to choke.
But I still don't think the Thunder, even as much as I love CP3 and Steven Adams, they're not. I don't. After falling this far, I don't think they're gonna fall. I mean, granted, 2-1 isn't a big deficit. It's hardly a deficit at all. But this team, with its lackluster star power, needed to take an early lead, I think, which it didn't do.
Right. And then the Bucks should win Game 4.
The Bucks should win out. I don't know if they will, but they should. I think the Heat will win out.
Well, it's 3-0.
Big disappointment.
Yeah, which the Pacers were just. I don't know what their deal was. It felt like they were hot in the bubble like games, but now it's just like they fall 3-0 or they get swept by the Heat. Which, granted, the Heat are a good team and are going to
4-0, which I think is going to be interesting. The Bucks are the only team in the East then that didn't 4-0.
They didn't sweep their opponent. Which, I mean, the Heat are going to give the Bucks a run for their money, but I still see the Bucks winning out. But it's yeah, but I feel like the Magic are a team that can do that. That just can steal a game and then fall apart. They've done that in I feel like every playoffs they've been in. But even then, but I think the problem with the Pacers that we didn't take into account is that the Heat are like their kryptonite. It's just like they just can't play the Heat well, at all.
Just that team,
right.
Every team seems to have that, which is ironic. The Lakers' kryptonite is the Trailblazers. If you look throughout their past games, the Blazers, no matter how bad they are, just seem to beat the Lakers, which so far, I mean, these games have been close, but the Lakers are up right now 2-1. But I definitely could see the Blazers coming back, but it would also depend. I think they're struggling with health too, like the Mavericks are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the playoffs are not only the basketball playoffs are not only which team has the better team, but also which team is healthier. Mm-hmm. So, football, health as a thing, a big part, but it's also it's one game. So if you're better that one game, then you're better.
If your backup goes off for that one game, you're good.
Right.
You just need them to perform one game.
Right. College football is the same thing of Tua Tagovailoa was the backup in the national championship a few years ago. He comes in, balls out, wins the Natty. So stuff like that happens.
In the NBA, you don't hear about a backup player. Lou Williams is going to carry you for a series.
No.
Right.
Yeah, in basketball, I'm not terrified of. Let me see. Who do we got here? Michael Porter Jr. Drops 10 points a game. I'm not terrified of that. That's easy. I can guard that all day. Well, I can't, but
But another NBA player could.
Another NBA player could. I am not an NBA player, but another NBA player could. We would get destroyed by even
by Michael Porter. Get destroyed by a WNBA player.
Yeah, they would have their way with us. Did you Earl Thomas?
Poor guy. I mean, not poor guy. He probably deserved it, but still.
So, for those of you that don't know, Earl Thomas got released by the Ravens. I want to say earlier today.
Yeah, it was earlier today. He threw. He threw a punch at Chuck Clark
a couple
days ago.
A fight. They were in a fight.
It was a fight.
Have you seen? Was video released?
Was thrown. I haven't seen the video.
Was there a video? I don't know if there was.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because the report is days old.
Right. Yeah. It's old.
He left. He was told he couldn't come back. And
right.
Then today they announced that they were releasing him.
Right. So a couple days ago, they him and a teammate.
They had a scuffle.
Over Earl Thomas on his Instagram posted a play where he had a misread and he was like, "This is the play that got me and I'm blanking on the guy's name.
Chuck Clark.
Chuck Clark into that disagreement. It was like, obviously a misread, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so come out a few days later, reports are coming out that like team leaders on the Ravens are like mad at Earl because he shows up late to meetings. He's just not a good
this
influence.
Isn't his first fight either. He got in a fight with Brandon Williams last season. I forget about what, and it was 11 months ago. I know I've read that, so that's why. And then obviously there's the thing with his wife. So recently, and then even leaving Seattle, it wasn't a pretty breakup. So recently he's been.
Did he get traded to the Ravens, or was he cut from Seattle?
He was cut, I think, or his contract expired. I know he said he wouldn't play for them ever again.
Right. I just don't remember if it was like a take him for a 7th round, which if I'm an organization, right, and I have a player that I don't want, I think it's like I'd want to trade him more than just releasing him. Which in Earl's situation it's different because in his contract, the Ravens could get away scot-free because like he had $10 million guaranteed for this season, and in his case there was legitimately a clause in his contract that said the team could null and void your contract, release you, and not pay you anything if you are released because of detrimental damage to the team or something like if you're a nuisance to the team as a whole. So
which is what he was released for. They filed that. That's the reason. And it's not like it's like a loophole. Like, I mean, you get in a fight with a couple other players and you're constantly not showing up to meetings, and then you have these other media stories about you and your personal life distracting, and getting cut.
You're gonna get cut.
The team's a legit reason.
So, which I mean, but in my head, I still think as an organization, I'd want to like trade a player for like even a 7th round pick, right?
Well, I think the problem is who would take him right now. There's rumors that the Dallas Cowboys are the only team showing any interest in him at all.
I've seen.
I don't even know if it's them showing interest, but I remember he said he wanted to play for them because he's from Texas. He might have started that rumor himself. Or
there's like rumors that like the 49ers might want him or like the Texans might want him, but I don't know how true those are either because I don't.
We also got to think. I mean, he got paid 5 years for $55 million, I think, with the Ravens.
Was that his contract?
So so I'd expect he'd want at least 4 years, $40 million or something, which he's not worth. But he did probably.
Well, I mean, he was in the Pro Bowl last year.
Okay,
so he could have pulled that.
Stiff arm by Derrick Henry. When you're out here blocking for the other team, I don't think he deserves.
Yeah, that was a low light of his career. Literally, before they played the Texans, wasn't he calling out like, well, the Texans, the Titans
were scared to tackle.
Right.
He said the Patriots were scared to tackle the Titans, and that the Ravens weren't, so they were gonna win.
Right. And then he got stiff armed. Oh, that was just terrible. I mean, no one could stop Derrick Henry last year in the playoffs except for the Chiefs, but up until that point, Derrick Henry was a machine, an absolute machine. Threw touchdowns in the playoffs, rushed ran the ball like a monster.
It's interesting in football. You say he was dominating the playoffs up until the Chiefs, and any other sport that means at least 7 games. In football, he had 2 good games.
Right.
That's it. That's what it comes down to. He had 2 good games at the end of the season. And he had good games before that, obviously, building up to the season. But his biggest games were just 2. And he had a lackluster 3rd appearance against the Chiefs.
Which, I mean, to win a Super Bowl, you only need 4 good games, right?
4 good games, that's it.
4 good games.
Like, then you don't even need 4 good. If your opponent has 1 bad game, then you can just
take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Which
I feel like the Chiefs did. Like, you look at their games, they went down, and then the opponent they were playing just started sucking all of a sudden. And it's like, might as well go score some points if they're not going to stop us.
Right. The Chiefs were just good.
The Niners game, I think, was the Super Bowl, was the only game where it's like they're clearly a better team. Like, if you watch the other games, they dominated. but it seems a lot more like the Bills sucked, the Texans sucked. It wasn't so much the Chiefs being amazing until they'd play the Titans. I think when they stopped Derrick Henry was when they solidified, like, hey, we're not just having a couple good games, we are a really good team.
Yeah, it's really just NFL is a different breed in like when it comes down to players being good or not. Like, if the player's good for 4 games, then that's a ticket to the Hall of Fame right there. And if they're not, nobody's, you know. Which another, I don't know about if you heard much about this. A bunch of like half the league this past week was hit with like a bunch of false positives for coronavirus. Like the Jets had 10 false positive tests come out of their organization, and it wasn't just them; it was a bunch of other teams. Which I think that could be really detrimental to an organization, not because they think they have players. Well, they do think like they think that there's players infected on the team, but it's also like that halts operations for like a day or two. Right? Like,
and then if you find out, it's a false positive, then now after multiple instances of that, you're angry at the medical team and you're going to fire them. And then you have to go through the hassle of getting a new medical team who might not know how you do it in that organization. And then, you have false negatives and you have the reverse, and that creates bigger problems.
So it's like, I mean, obviously right now, the NFL, it's fine because no one actually has tested positive while out training camp, but it's like, I feel like, I don't know if the Jets stopped their practices or not after receiving the results of like, hey, positive players. They maybe just sent those players out, but I mean, if you're a coach and like half your team tests positive,
if those 10 players or 10 starters,
right?
Or if they're like Sam Darnold, Le'Veon Bell, you got to go now, and that's a big problem.
You got to pause practice to figure out, all right, who's the next best player? What do we do? Which, I mean, you probably already know who the next man up is, but it's like training camp.
Unless you're the Patriots, because then you got 2 starters.
Right, you got co-op starters, but it's like, yeah. Well, it's also training camp, so you like the full roster breakdown isn't fully set in
75
stone.
Players right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely less than what it used to. I think in previous season it was like they'd have 90 players before cut day or like the first cut day, and then it would drop.
Preseason is down to 75, I think.
Yeah, so I think it's around there, 75 or something. But like even then, that's a like what 25 plus players to cut to get down to 53. Right, not 25. Like
we got to cut a full team, 22.
Yeah, so. Which, I mean, even then, sometimes players don't get cut based off their skill. They just get cut because of numbers. Like
sometimes they just go bumped down to practice squad there and get cut.
Yeah. Well, there's also like a numbers game in football where it's like, dang, you're a really good tight end, but we already have 2 good tight ends. Yeah, we already have a good tight end and like a good backup tight end. I'm sorry, son, but we're going to just have to release you. And so.
And then he goes and plays for a rival team in your division and dominates you.
Right. I mean, that happens a lot, though. I mean, yeah, that happens fairly enough.
Yeah, it happens a lot more in the NFL, I think, than in other leagues. But maybe I just don't keep up with other leagues as much.
Right. How much do you think Zach Ertz is worth? Because we both Travis Kelce and George Kittle both got paid a lot of money to catch a ball. How much do you think Zach Ertz is, or how much is he worth?
The unique thing about Kittle, and you'll hear a lot of Niners fans say this, it's kind of annoying, but like he doesn't just catch, he blocks too. He's a great run blocker. He's so helpful in the run game, which is very valuable, but
that's why he got paid the most.
Ertz and Kelce, that's not what they're asked to do.
Yeah, they're receivers more
than
anything. Their
schemes aren't a ground and pound smash mouth and speed run outside zones like Kyle Shanahan's are. They're throwing. So especially for Ertz when his offensive line's so good. I don't think he's asked to block as much, but I think he's still pretty good at it. I mean, from what I've seen on film, it definitely doesn't seem to be a negative in his game. So he'd probably get paid more than Kelsey, but less than Kittle, and that's assuming the Eagles have the money to pay him that.
Which,
And
I
if they
mean,
don't, then I don't think he would
well, I
leave.
think Kittle got paid
Personally,
15 mil per year, and then Kelsey got paid like 14.5. So you're saying he's like a 14.7 guy?
he's a 14.75 guy. That's where he fits right there. But I'm talking about more in terms of like total contract value, right? Kelsey got paid less for less years though, right? And Kittle's
Well,
getting
the 14 is per year. So yeah, Kittle got 5 years.
75 mil.
Yeah.
And Kelsey got 4
years,
55 mil, right?
Something like that, yeah. So
I think I could see Ertz getting something like 5 years, 60 mil, 5 years, 65, something like that. They'd want to keep him a while.
Well, yeah. Or Kelsey is also just, I think, older than both. He's just an older guy, so I don't think they'd lock him in for longer. And then, yeah.
All three of them have broken records, huh? Just in different categories.
I think all three of them have broken records that another one of them has broken as well.
So I think Ertz has the catch record, and then I think Kittle and Kelsey broke the receiving yard record the same day, but Kittle had more yards, so he has the record now.
Right. I think it was like Kelsey had like a morning game. He broke the record, and then Kittle came in and just had like 15, 20 more yards in a night game. So
something like that.
It was really close. They would have just sure. They both have records. They're both
maybe if their games
had
been switched, then maybe Kelsey would have played a little harder.
Right.
The
record. right. So they're both good tight ends, or they're all three of them are good tight ends, which they're all gonna get paid money. Which this harkens back to my belief.
How long till Ertz gets paid? Because both of Kittle and Kelsey are coming up on contract years. Like, let's play them now, or they're free agents in a year or two.
I think Zach, I don't know when his contract is up, but I think he's in that point of his contract where he could begin talking about the new contract. Yeah. So that's kind of where that stems from. And also, I think more than any other time in NFL history that I know of, there's just so much talent in the league and like so much money flying everywhere that I don't know. Like I feel like I will always hold this point in this belief that like I don't know how the NFL pays their players and how teams pay their players, like how they manage it.
I'm looking at Ertz's contract right now, and I don't know if this is a typo, but it says in 2017 he signed a 5-year, $44 million contract. But he has an extension, so it's 6 years, $44 million, or 6 years, $44 million. It was originally 5 years, $42 million, 6 year, $44 million if he signs the extension, which would go through 2021. So in 2 years, he'll be a free agent. But it says the deal also includes a $21 in guaranteed components, along with an $8 million signing bonus. I don't know if it meant to say 21 million.
Yeah, probably million.
If he just negotiated a contract for like, we're going to guarantee you $21, so that you hit the cap a lot less.
I think
that's a Chiefs move right there.
I think maybe. So his contract is still valid for what, another 2 years, maybe?
Yeah, 2021 is the last year if he signs the extension.
Okay, so. Yeah, so he is opened for a new contract, which sometimes players don't need a new contract, but they just want more money within their contract.
Yeah,
like
Julio did a couple of years ago.
Well, that's what what's the Chargers linebacker Melvin Ingram did at the beginning of this season. He has his contract was like $10 million for this season, but none of it was guaranteed. So he just wanted that money guaranteed, and they did that, and so now he's playing. Which I guaranteed money is better than total money. Do you agree?
I think it depends. If you're Richard Sherman, no. If you're Kirk Cousins, yes. I think those are the two best examples where Richard Sherman basically made his contract super rich, but he had to perform at the highest level possible. He did, and he got all his money. Kirk Cousins is like, I don't know if I'm going to come in here and win a Super Bowl. I want 84 mil guaranteed. So I think it depends on the skill set of the player. Because if I'm a B tier quarterback, I want my guaranteed money. If I'm a A tier corner, I'm willing to take the risk to get more money.
See, but that's the whole like Richard Sherman. He's a good player, but like the fear is that there's just gonna come a point where like it even happened in the Super Bowl. But he just can't do man coverage. He can do zone coverage and he can read the quarterback. But if you put him man on man, if you put him man on man, he's gonna get destroyed. So like
he can read you in man on man. He can cover you, play you. But if you are half a step faster than him, it doesn't matter that he's beating you in every technical aspect.
Right.
You're gonna just run past him.
So like there's a point in every player's career, and some players are better at pushing that point off. But like there's gonna be a point where like you're just not as good as you used to be, and I feel like if you know that point is coming up in your career and you're near contract year, you should go for that guaranteed money. But if you're near, like if you're close enough to that point, the organization will also most definitely know that you're close to that point.
And they don't want to give you that guaranteed money.
Right. So it's like, I don't know, you should, I think more often than not, just be safe with it. Get that money, get that bread, make sure it's guaranteed. I like guaranteed contracts more. I think it's just better.
I disagree because you aren't getting as much money.
Right.
Like Kirk got 84 million guaranteed, but that wasn't a high end even at the time.
Right. It was the most.
Russell Wilson had just signed 35 mil a year, I think, which is
yeah. He's nowhere near the top in like per year. But like, I think at the time it was the highest guaranteed contract.
He's the only one with a fully guaranteed contract in NFL history.
Right.
I remember that being a headline, and people thinking that it was going to be the new norm because of him. And it's definitely not.
It's more.
No organization is going to have 53 players on guaranteed money.
Right. No. Adrian Peterson came out earlier and said that he wants to be with the Washington football team for at least another 5 years.
Oh, yeah. Which he could now that they got rid of Darius Geist.
He most definitely could, yeah. Shout out to Geist throughout his entire NFL career, which never really even started because
he never even played a game.
He played like 5.
He was injured.
No, he played like 5 or 6. I want to say.
Well, I don't remember him ever because I remember being a fan of him coming out of college.
Yeah,
and then he didn't play his entire freshman year because of injury. Right. And he tore his ACL, and then I think I heard his second year he got hurt again, and now this.
Yeah, I think he balled out. I want to say against Miami and like rushed for 100 yards.
Everybody balled out against Miami.
But like his other games were like limited reps because he was still coming off of injury. So like his one game where he balled out, it was like, oh, this guy can be a really good running back. And then, took the Kareem Hunt approach to things.
But with his fists.
Yeah, much worse. Way worse. Not bad enough to get him thrown. I mean, he's still
Reuben Foster meets Ray Rice. That's Darius Geist.
He didn't kill anyone, so I think he's fine.
Nobody killed.
Well, do you think?
You're thinking of O.J. Simpson, bro?
Didn't Ray Lewis kill someone? Wasn't that a thing?
Allegedly.
Oh,
so
allegedly.
Like the court thing, he snitched, so he didn't get charged. So he didn't do it, and he didn't have to pay any penalty because he didn't do it.
He didn't do it.
He admitted that 2 other people did it.
Oh, wow. Huh. So not last year, but the year before that, Adrian Peterson had a 1,000-yard rushing season, and even last year he had like a 900-yard rushing season. If
he's still performing consistently,
he's still relatively good. How far back is he from all time?
He's third, isn't he? Frank Gore's ahead of him right now.
Okay, yeah. So Adrian Peterson is fifth. He's like at 14,000. Barry Sanders is next up at 15, like 250. Frank Gore beat Barry Sanders, I want to say last season, and is now number 3. Season. And he's at like 15,300. And then Walter Payton's at 16. Emmitt Smith's is at 18. So 5 more seasons.
I don't think I don't know. If he stays 5 more seasons, he could do it for sure. I also think eventually hit a wall like Frank Gore did. Like Frank Gore.
I mean, Frank Gore's still going. He's on the what?
But he's getting 300 to 500 yards a season now. So
I mean, he's still got like 3 more seasons in him, though.
He's got a couple more seasons left at most, and he's been playing the backup role for most of the teams he's still been on, or he's been the starter on a really bad team. So even though he knows what he's doing, the offensive line doesn't, so he's not able to get his yards. So for Adrian Peterson, it's a lot different, I think, because I think he's a better player, obviously, than Frank Gore, even though I like Frank Gore a lot. I have to admit, Adrian Peterson's obviously a much better running back, so he could definitely do it. I think in 3 years he could be above Frank Gore.
Well, even if he has a 1,000-yard season next season,
I don't know. I think that's pushing it.
It might be okay, but 900 yards,
800 every year.
900 yards isn't he? Okay, not 900 yards. He'd be close. He'd beat Barry Sanders. But if you're by your metrics of like Frank Gore getting 300, 400 yards a season, he'd be giving Frank Gore a run for his money. There would be like...
Yeah, it'd be close.
It'd be like a week 15 stat of like... Or maybe like a... of like, oh, Adrian Peterson is only 100 yards away from Frank Gore or something like that.
Frank Gore pops off like a 500-yard record-breaking game.
Yeah. And
eat it, Adrian Peterson.
So Adrian Peterson is definitely, I think, gonna beat Barry Sanders, and Frank Gore, if he plays for 4 more years, could probably beat Walter Payton, and then Adrian Peterson.
I think Frank Gore has the problem that Adrian Peterson doesn't. Is if Adrian Peterson can stay with the Redskins, Frank Gore, since he left the Colts, has been signing 1-year deals.
Right. He can't stay somewhere. It's
difficult for him to get employed.
He's played in every
will play.
AFC
I think he's
team.
Signed with someone right now.
He's the Jets, I think.
I'm not sure. The Jets.
I believe.
He's going to be running behind Le'Veon Bell, which means he won't be getting a whole lot of reps. Unless Le'Veon Bell gets hurt or sits out again.
Probably.
I mean, you can be the best player on the field, but if you ain't on the field, it don't matter.
It don't matter. Do you have anything else to talk about?
No, I'm good.
All right. Thank you all for listening / watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment what you want to hear on Friday's episode. Catch y'all on the flip side.